The day you accept praise from the world, you also allow it to destroy you. How to see praise and condemnation as one and nothing. In this video, I'm going to give you an insight, a philosophical insight, which will help you become untouchable by the words and opinions of others. People see themselves and identify their existence within the context of social roles they fulfill in the society or the external world they live in. For example, Mark sees himself and thinks who he is within the context of the society he belongs to. The self is viewed from an external point of view. Mark becomes not what Mark's inner self or being has realized about himself, but how Mark is recognized by the external based on the roles he has accepted. Your definition of yourself is how you are viewed from an external point of view. The roles can be you are an accountant, teacher, engineer, doctor, researcher, business person, liberal, conservative, this kind of girlfriend, I'm this kind of partner, this kind of husband, wife. These examples of roles are an agreement with the external world in which the information about what these roles are has been pre-decided, preceded, and prescribed to you. Humans adopt them with minor changes from the internal. This process is called fitting in the world. The average human spends the largest chunk of their life doing this. The process of fitting in is highly dependent on the external. When the external world praises the self becomes happy, elated, proud, and is exalted. And when the same external world condemns the self, then the self feels small, insignificant, deeply hurt, and disappointed. Mark posts an opinion online, gets praised by hundreds of likes and comments, has the greatest day of his life. Another opinion of his gets him dislikes, and he feels completely down for weeks. Mark receives a promotion. He feels absolutely great. Another opportunity of a different kind is passed on to somebody else. He feels terrible. People become dependent on the socially distributed cultural scripts of achievement, materialism, promotion, making more money, and receiving social approval. This is very close to arrival fallacy, which is the belief that by following the socially sanctioned and approved scripts, one will arrive at happiness as the final outcome. Group membership dictates your values and behaviors. A wise person will see both as false. There must be no difference to the self in praise and condemnation from the external. This is the trap from which you have to free yourself. Praise and condemnation come from a philosophical core or a system that exists outside of the being. And that is very likely culturally constructed and has very little to do with reasoning, moral reasoning, empirical evidence, scientific evidence, or long-term impact. The day Mark accepts praise from society, Mark has opened up to be destroyed by condemnation too. The first step is the inner self must create the criteria of what is honorable and what is disgraceful. If what is honorable to the self is congruent with what the world believes is honorable too, then it is the world agreeing with you, not you adopting the world's definition and behavior of being honorable. If what you believe is disgraceful is inconsistent with what a society or a country believes is disgraceful, then it is their disagreement with you, not an attempt by you to find disagreement with them. A person's anchor, axis, and nucleus of what drives their behavior, their identity, their perception of right behavior and wrong behavior must be entirely internally located. This does not mean closing your mind to the external. This means acknowledgement that the external world is filled with great ideas and bad ideas. But you need to test those ideas through deep reasoning within yourself to figure out what will become your values. This is a moral journey which a lot of people don't even know that they must take. A moral core which has been achieved by debate, deliberation, and months of slow rumination has immense capacity to take power from the external. Also, when I say freedom from praise and condemnation, I don't mean discard feedback from people. Be open to, value, and seek feedback. Feedback is data. Not all feedback is helpful, but it is feedback that will be the most helpful to make improvements. Beyond feedback, the goal is to be completely free from subjective valuations of who you are from the external. Once you have accepted and built an internal philosophical core, then all approval and disapproval is shifted internally. It is every person's job to create local philosophical consistency within themselves. There is no reason for Mark's happiness to rely on strangers because he has accepted a social role. It happens because he has allowed that. You know, when you love a person and then they say that you give that person your heart, it is implicit in that statement that your happiness is externally located. You are handing it out. Mark has to place the focal point of his peace inward and make it impervious by personal law to the meddling of the external. That does not mean Mark should seek out to behave in ways that piss people off. He makes sure that he doesn't get approval or rejects or rebuffs that approval. Wanting and making sure you annoy people is the same cycle of being dependent on the external. The want remains the same. The person's attention seeking has moved to the other end of the spectrum. The point is to reach freedom. Praise and condemnation equally mean nothing. They become valueless. You hear it, you respond appropriately, which is consistent with the socially approved responses, but in your brain, computationally, they don't register. You factor them out. Also, social roles can be your identity when it is intrinsically integrated and chosen. A human can feel that their life's purpose is to be a great father and provider to his family. Mark can believe that he has to be the greatest accountant in the world because accountancy gives him genuine peace. In that case, the social role is more personally owned and largely externally disconnected. In order to truly actualize this philosophical position, the truest view you can obtain is to look at yourself and the world as a stranger. Why do you need to become a stranger to yourself? Right now, this is the structure in which you are trapped. The external world's definition of you defines you stronger than your own. To make yourself free from the external, first you have to be free from yourself. Therefore, enter a metacognitive exercise called self-distancing. This is well grounded in experimental psychological literature. This is how you do it. Take whatever bothered you. Whatever you can remember, grab a pen and paper, write down what bothered, then your name. So in the case of Mark, what bothered Mark? You're talking about yourself in the third person. Second question, what is the entity that gave the compliment or the negative remark? Why does the entity in Mark's eyes gain the power to bother him so much? And does the power that Mark has given this entity make sense? Does this entity deserve the power existentially out of the 8 billion people on the planet? How is this entity any more unique or different than the others? Is there any useful feedback in this situation? Is Mark processing this situation too emotionally or too seriously than the situation warrants? What is the most rational, objective explanation of this situation that Mark should see? What are Mark's long-term goals in life? Does this situation actually pose any problem to the long-term goals of Mark's life? How can Mark solve this or deal with this situation? These are about 10 questions. You can do this practice right now. By practicing the ability to see yourself as a stranger or a separate entity, you practice and strengthen the skill of seeing yourself as an outsider. The power of that outsider's view helps you see and question all the people in your life. When you question the relationship between yourself and people in your life as an outsider, you are able to see how much power you have given others, how many irrational connections there are, and the sources of happiness that you have placed in the hands of others that make no rational sense. This also gives you the opportunity to take that power away from them in your mind. Lastly, as an outsider, you're able to see those people from an objective, rational point of view. And that gives you the power to remove illusions you have created about people. The rosy view. Oh, this person is great. Why? Rationally speaking, why? If somebody has achieved something, then they might be great at that particular domain. Achievement is not evidence that their entire personality, their entire personhood is great. The outsider view enforces that humans at the end of the day are humans. Making some humans praise a condition to your happiness is to be trapped by a person who is as flawed as you are. When you look at yourself and a person objectively, what you see is any person's horizon is limited to the worldview, restricted and enveloped by the extent of their natural physical capacity of existence. Mark's perception is limited because Mark does not have the perspectives of being larger or different than himself. His point of view remains completely limited and influenced by the nature of his existence, of which the actions are a part and function. Similarly, the person you are admiring is severely restricted by the extent of the experience of their own existence. Humans are trapped by the limits of who we individually are. And that incapacity or limitation makes us all small, and that is okay. Our ego tells us that we are big, but we are mightily limited in the ability to acquire true perspectives that are completely different from ours. So we are perceptually, intellectually, and in wisdom limited, which is okay. This is the outsider's view of yourself and all humans, regardless of how good looking they are, how well dressed they are, how much they have achieved. Thinking like this Humanizing humans around you will free you. Internally shifting your philosophical code of what is praiseworthy and what is not will free you. Trying to be a better human than you are right now will give you purpose and free you from focusing on what others have to say about you. Inward focus, inward reliance, and practicing the outsider's considerable doubt toward what you believe. And the same thing will create considerable doubt toward idealizing others too. I hope this perspective helped. I'm going to make multiple videos on this because there are multiple perspectives to this problem. And this problem can be solved in so many ways. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching up until this point. See you in more videos. And don't forget, you are awesome. I just praised you. You shouldn't give two shits about it.